everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what kind of controversies they get into, but between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way. For one thing, we'll tell you about a big job fair that's coming up that'll benefit veterans and their families. We'll also tell you how you can help hospice, help others. All that and much more coming your way. But first, we're going to start out talking about education and the link from that to a good workforce. And the man that can make that link for us is involved in so many things, wears so many hats. He was here many years ago. Now he has a different title. We're glad and honored to have him here with us. Next to me is Mark Johnson, North Carolina State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good to be here again.
First time here as the superintendent.
That's right. And actually, my first time on the show was as one of the intern coordinators at Inmar Inc. in Winston-Salem.
Right. Well, speaking of Inmar, and they really gave me the idea for this segment to have you over because I know you and the CEO and Chairman David Mounts are very close. But speaking of David, you guys are both on the board of an organization called My Future NC. Now, I want you to tell me, what is My Future NC and why was it created?
My Future NC is a nonprofit organization that is a group of education leaders, elected leaders, business leaders, community leaders that all acknowledge that in today's world, we need students to graduate from high school and then they're going to have to get some kind of post-secondary degree.
Why are you so focused on not that post-secondary degree isn't important, but why are you guys in that particular group so focused on the necessity for some post-secondary education?
Because the world is changing. I think there's one stat now that 2 out of every 3 new jobs are going to require some kind of post-secondary training or education after high school. And again, this group is business leaders, elected leaders coming together and saying, not everybody has to go get a 4-year degree. If you don't want to get a 4-year degree, you don't have to get a 4-year degree to be a success. But we know now that you're going to have some kind of job training, skills training. It could happen in high school, and you get a credential in high school, and then you go to the workforce. It could be through the armed forces, which is one of the greatest job training programs ever in the history of our earth. Or it could be community college. What we've seen, and this is why it's so great that education leaders and elected leaders and business leaders are coming together, is here in North Carolina, we're doing pretty well. We're in the about 40-something% of students in the workforce, they come out with some kind of post-secondary training, but we're not keeping up with the demands of businesses. Great examples are here in the Triad, where I came from, Inmar. Great jobs available, lots of jobs available, but there's not the workforce pipeline to fill all those jobs. And that's actually not just hurting our businesses, it hurts our students too, because we have plenty of students here in the Triad that could really benefit from that opportunity.
Is the governor and the General Assembly supportive of what you're doing with this?
Yes, and that's great news, is that in this day and age where it doesn't seem like the governor and General Assembly are agreeing on much, this is something the governor has come out in full support of, the North Carolina Senate has come out in full support of, the North Carolina House of Representatives, and then you also have on the board, you have myself as the leader of the K-12 system, you have the leader of the community college system, and you have the leader of not just the University of North Carolina colleges, but also the independent colleges. So this is really everyone coming together and saying, let's put aside all our differences. We can all agree that we have to provide these opportunities for students, and it'll help businesses too.
Well, I think it's great. Now, what kind of progress is the board making so far, or can you chart it?
Yes, and that's going to be very important. That's why it's great that we have people like David Mounts involved in this, because they come with that business sense of, great, we can set a big goal, and our big goal is by 2030, we want 2 million workforce age adults to have some kind of credential that will help fill all the jobs that are out there. We can set the goal, but how do we measure it? How do we get there? And we're actually in the process now with a goal about 10 years away from here, setting out those benchmarks. A year from now, what will we have needed to accomplish in order to know we're on track? And that's what we're setting out now.
And just as a quick thing for you to comment on, this is a great initiative, but it's not just great and important for students.
That's exactly right. Again, this is something that benefits students. It's amazing. That's what it's all about, to give them the opportunity to work hard and succeed. But we're not going to keep the economic growth going in North Carolina if we can't fill those jobs. And this is not just a Charlotte thing. This is not just a Research Triangle thing. This is right here in the Triad. This is real. Again, I worked at Inmar. I was part of one of the coordinators for their internship program. I mean, you're competing to get skilled workforce with the Triangle in Charlotte, but also Atlanta,
Yep.
Northern Virginia,
Absolutely.
California. Meanwhile, we have students right here in our backyard, in Winston-Salem, in Greensboro, that could take these courses and go right into these jobs.
Absolutely. I wanted to put up on screen a couple quick things here. One is www.myfuturenc.org, and for the radio listening audiences, again, myfuturenc.org. Also check out dpi.state.nc.us to keep up with what's going on with the State Superintendent of Public Instruction and Education. And a quick shout out again to David Mounts, the good folks at inmar.com. Mark Johnson, thanks for all you do.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, man. We'll be right back after this. Today, always glad when we can stop for a few minutes and talk about hospice, something that's near and dear to my heart. And there's ways that we can help hospice, help others. We have a good friend with us who drops by occasionally to help us with that initiative, and she's here now. Sheila Jones, Director of Marketing for Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care. Welcome again.
Thanks for letting me come back.
Well, the first thing is, and we always do this because there are always people who tune in for the first time, people who move into the area. So remind us quickly what hospice is and who you serve.
We serve serious ill folks who might have a life expectancy of 6 months or less. We do that in 17 counties, North Carolina, Virginia.
And palliative care too.
Palliative care is the comfort care piece of that. Those folks don't have to have a terminal illness. They are just a chronic or serious illness that we have to manage.
Okay. And we'll give website information and everything later on. But let's talk about some special days coming up. Veterans Day is November 11th. Mm-hmm. And you have something planned for that day, right?
Well, we do. As part of our Wellness Veteran Program, we feel that it's very important that we understand veterans and the care that they need. And we also understand that sometimes veterans just need to be recognized for the service that they served our country. So we're doing veterans balls, and we're doing one in North Carolina and one in Virginia.
Big dance and gala and all that stuff.
Well, not really necessarily big, but more casual, more Sunday best, comfortable. Something they can have a good time. Bring someone that they want to join them, and just a way to say thank you.
And of course, that is a great way to celebrate. But I think we should also note too, as you've told me on many occasions, 24/7. You guys at Mountain Valley Hospice also have a team around you, including volunteers who are veterans themselves, right?
Yes, correct. And that helps us to understand how to take care of the patients. Volunteers go through special training to be at the bedside with a patient that's a veteran. That veteran volunteer to veteran program is one of the best things we've ever done. It puts them together, helps them, they understand each other. A lot going on, so it's just easier for them.
And November coming up is National Hospice Month too.
Correct.
Why is that important?
It is a month that we can make sure that we bring awareness to hospice and what hospice is and what we do in our great nation, caring for those who at end of life. It's a way that we can bring it to the forefront of our memories and our minds, and making sure that we are always on top of that. So prepare for that now instead of when your family needs it, you'll know. Don't wait to the last minute.
And
That's the whole
holidays,
goal.
we're gathered around for the holidays. We have loved ones, some of them elderly, some of them that's a good time, to do the planning, have the talk, right?
It's a great time. That's when you're all gathered with your loved ones, and why not have those conversations with the ones that you love the most.
About the kind of care that you might want. All right, speaking of holidays, on a pleasant note, and of course people need to know you're a nonprofit, so there are ways that you do fundraising throughout the year, and you have something that's coming up that we can purchase for a holiday gift. What is that?
The 2019 memorial ornament. It's already on sale.
We do that every year, have a special ornament. And they can buy that, I guess, online or whatever, but you also have a retail store. Tell me about that again.
We have a resale shop, yes, in Mount Airy. Folks donate items, and we resell those items to use that proceeds to take care of patients who don't have insurance, and other programs that we do, like our Veterans Program and our Pet Peace of Mind and things like that.
And I think folks at home should also know.
So they can shop for the holidays, get a memorial ornament, do all kinds of things to support what Mountain Valley does.
Yeah, and it's helping the mission of Mountain Valley Hospice, and very important that the community get involved, because I mentioned your nonprofit, and that also means that you don't turn people away, right?
That is the biggest thing that we get to be proud of, is that we don't turn anyone away based on their inability to pay. We have wonderful ways of coming up with that. The community, takes care of those patients. So that's what we want to do.
Yeah, and not to disparage other groups that might be for profit, but I'm just telling you, Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care, nonprofit, so you don't have to worry about that, and you just worry about having the talk with the family around the holidays is a good time, and when you come to a point where you want to explore that care, then we're going to put some information up on screen. Go to this website, and you can make an appointment to talk with Sheila and her team. MountainValleyHospice.org. It's MTN, MTNValleyHospice.org. For the radio listening audience, I'll say it again, MTNValleyHospice.org. Please check that out. See what all's going on. Find out about the ornament that you can purchase. Purchase many. Find out about the Veterans Ball and all those great things. Sheila Jones, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll be right back. Let's talk about weaving. Not just any weaving. You see this beautiful, I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if somebody's going to tell me what it is, but I know it feels great and it's beautiful. And why are we talking about weaving? Because it does great things for some very great kids. Next to me are two ladies that are going to explain all this to you. On my immediate right, Lisa Banner is manager of Crossnor Weavers. Now, if that sounds familiar, Jane Bumgardner is director of finance for Crossnor School and Children's Home. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We have a big basket between us, so if I talk a little louder, I'm not shouting at you, but that's, before we get to the weaving part, Jane, or one of you tell me just very quickly in case somebody's never watched the program together, how would you describe what Crossnor is and who it serves?
Crossnor provides services, both residential and family, for kids in foster care. We also provide outpatient therapy services and education services to children.
Now, Lisa, what is the weaving room and how long has it been operating?
The weaving room's been open since 1920.
1920?
We'll be 100 years.
That's how old
next
I am.
year.
Seriously, that's been around a long time. And what goes on in there?
We weave lots of wearables and table linens for.
Right. Now, the thing I'm holding up is what?
That is a stole.
A stole. And each of you are wearing items that were done in the weaving room. Is that
Yes,
correct?
we are.
That's just great. Let's go back to a two-shot of the two ladies, if we can. Lori Bates, our director. Those are beautiful. And now let's not that I want to see my face, but since my face is near this, I'm going to hold this up. And this is like what, table placemats?
Yeah, those are placemats.
Wow, this is great stuff. And more stoles in there. There are napkins in there. There are, what is
Dish
this?
towel. That's a dish towel.
It's a dish towel. Wow, boy, I'd hate to even get this wet or dirty, but they're durable too, aren't they?
They bet.
Isn't that great? That's just something. Now, is weaving done by students or adult volunteers or teachers? Who does all of that?
The weaving's done by local women. They're
Local women?
yeah, they're employees of Crossnor.
Okay.
And they weave part-time.
Now, Jane,
sometimes
how
full-time.
does the weaving room support the mission of Crossnor?
Well, all of our proceeds go directly, all the net proceeds go directly to supporting our mission of serving children. And also, it's the original founder wanted to provide jobs for the local community, so it supports our mission in that way as well.
It's a win-win situation. Now, where can I'm assuming the public can purchase these. I mean, you brought all these great items. What do they have to do to try to purchase these items? Do they go to a storefront? Do they go to online, or what happens?
We have a storefront in Crossnor on our campus there. It's kind of like a working museum that you can see the ladies actually do with their looms, actually doing the weaving.
So the public can come in there and sort of see what's going on.
Absolutely. And then we also have our online store at crossnor.org. And then we also have a couple of retail outlets. One is the Southern Highlands Crafts Guild over near Asheville. We're in the Grove Park Inn in their gift shop in Asheville, and then also at the Moses Cone Manor in the Blowing Rock area.
Wow, a lot of choices there, but what I am going to do is go back before we lose time here and just mention one more time on screen, crossnor.org/store. You can directly get in there and purchase some of these items. And now, I know you said people can come in and watch. Can they come in and learn and participate, or am I
Yes,
imagining
we have
that?
3 classes a year.
Really? 3 classes? And do you teach those? Or?
Yes, me
Really?
and 2 other ladies.
Well,
yes.
good for you. I just think this is great. I just think, can you even teach a senior citizen like me to weave?
Yes, we can.
All right, because you've already told me I was 100 years old. So I don't know what. Isn't that fantastic, folks? Look at this stuff. These are great items, and it's all for a good cause. You know, you buy these things, you go online, and you buy these wonderful woven products. The proceeds go to help Crossnor School and Children's Home, a very fine place. And my thanks to Lisa and Jane. Thanks for all you do.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll be right back. Now on Triad Today, and Veterans Day is just around the corner, and so it's very appropriate that we have a very special guest with us who's been here many times before. Always glad to see her, and she is a real friend to veterans, and you'll find out why in just a second. Next to me, Sandy Jolly is Veteran Services Program Coordinator for Goodwill Industries in Northwest North Carolina. Welcome.
Hey, Jim, thanks you.
Now, you have a big event coming up in November, which is going to benefit veterans in a very special way. And tell me about the big fair coming up.
We have our Employment and Resource Fair that we partner with the NC Works folks, and we've done this for like 5-6 years now. We've got over 30 employers coming. I've got like 15-20 community resources coming. So we just need everybody to come. It's not open just to veterans, it's open to their family members and in the entire community.
Oh, so anybody can come there?
Yep. The first hour is priority access for veterans, and then after that it's open to the general
I'm
public.
glad you mentioned that, because we'll put it up on screen again later on, but it's called a Employment and Resource Fair, and it's geared, to help veterans, but I'm glad to know that it's for everybody too. Now, let me ask you something about you said employers will be there. Is this the kind of thing where you'll walk in and just say, hello, I'm going to pick up a brochure, or will there be some interaction you can have with employers?
Oh, it's definitely interaction. We will have a lot of the companies now, everything is online, but we do have some employers that will be there with paper applications, and they will be doing some hiring on the spot. We also will make sure we have lots of computers available through Career Connections where they can apply for jobs during the job fair as well as before and after.
Now, you said you're partnering with NC Works, and just for people that don't know what that is, how is that going to benefit the community?
It's actually been a phenomenal relationship for us. We've worked with them for years, we've partnered with them for years, but as of last year, they're now in our building. So we have an entire Veterans Resource Center downstairs where we have NC Works there every day, Monday through Friday, as well as our Veteran Services staff. So it's been a great opportunity to help their participants, because we help the same people. So it's just a no-win.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Now, what are the primary goals for 2020?
My primary goals are to just continue doing the services we provide, but also really reaching out to family members that reside within the household of the veterans, because that's one niche that we haven't really done as much with as we want to. So spouses, I mean, the veteran may be working, but if you're living with a vet that has served 1 day or more in the military, please come to us. We want to help you to find jobs, So sometimes it might be a parent of a veteran or a spouse or a family member. Now,
it's also important to note that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but year-round, I mean, you offer veteran services of one kind or another.
Absolutely.
Now, how can veterans get involved with that? Let's say whether they get to go to the fair, the employment fair or not, how do they get involved with some of your programs?
Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. we have our information session and we do intakes. So we can help at that time, and we coordinate with a lot of other vendors and partners, community partners at that time. So we make sure that people's needs are being met at that time. So every Wednesday at 9 a.m. at Goodwill. Okay,
now what I want to do is up on screen, we're going to show you this information, remind you about the big event coming up, and Sandy, you can stop me if I say something wrong here, but it's Veterans Employment and Resource Fair, Wednesday, November 13th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., because I think I mentioned Veterans Day was on November 11th, but the fair is actually Wednesday, November 13th, 1 to 4 p.m. at Goodwill, University Parkway, 2701 University Parkway. For more information, up on screen. It's goodwillvetservices.org, goodwillvetservices.org, I'll say that again, and goodwillnwnc.org is the general website where you can find out information. Sandy Jolly, I appreciate what you do 365 days a year for veterans and others.
Oh, thank you so much, Jim.
Thanks for being here. We'll be right back. Today, before we get to the roundtable, just a quick mention. Hope you'll pick up your copy of Yes Weekly. It's got Dracula on the cover and some other stuff. But it's good. It's everywhere. It's free. It's everywhere. Oh, also, programming note. Next week's Triad Today will be a special edition. We taped, a few days ago, we taped a conversation with Congressman Ted Budd and Mark Walker. And that's the entire show for next week. I think you'll find it fascinating. Okay, let's get to the roundtable. On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster journalist. Speaking of a great broadcaster journalist, Dave Plyler is also chairman of the Forsyth County Commissioners. And next to him is Mr. Theater, Dave Briggs, director of the High Point Theater. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have. Thanks for being here.
We're done.
No, all right. Here we go. We recently, by the way, before we get to this, I want to congratulate Ogie Overman on picking the name of the once Dixie Classic Fair.
That's right.
You named it the Carolina Classic.
Worthy of a golf clap.
One time somebody paid attention.
Months ago you named it. Okay. We recently celebrated Columbus Day, but already 7 states have replaced it with Indigenous Peoples Day because of how Columbus tortured and enslaved natives. Guys, should North Carolina join a growing number of states and replace or eliminate Columbus Day? Ogie Overman.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a wonderful idea. I would love to see it enacted on the federal level rather than just going state by state.
Dave Plyler.
No, it ain't broken yet, but it will be someday. But until that time comes, I don't think we ought to do
Leave it
anything.
alone. Dave
Yeah, I
Briggs.
grew up in Columbus, Ohio. We always celebrated Columbus Day, but I do think it's important to recognize our indigenous peoples.
All right, now the College Football Foundation thought it was doing something nice by offering free Chick-fil-A lunches to teachers in Louisiana, but the teachers refused the gesture because Chick-fil-A CEO had opposed gay marriage. Guys, do you admire the teachers for their stand in support of the LGBTQ community, or do you think their snub was an example of misguided political correctness? Mr. Overman.
No, this has nothing to do with political correctness, Jim. They've taken a principled stand, and I applaud them 100% for doing it. I don't eat at Chick-fil-A.
All right, Dave.
Well, I'm happy for them, but frankly speaking, you're free to do what you want, say what you want, except saying there's a fire in a theater. But from my perspective, I think they want to do the right thing, but it's not necessarily in today's world what the right thing is.
Well, they weren't actually buying the chicken.
Doesn't make any difference. They have an
Dave
opinion.
Briggs.
Well, my problem here is that they didn't complain when Chick-fil-A gave out those sandwiches when there was a big flood.
Yeah, when the flood came. All right, interesting point, guys. I understand everything there. Ogie had a good point, too. Our friend Greensboro Mayor Nancy Vaughn, nice lady, has put new restrictions on anyone who wants to speak at council meetings now, and one of those restrictions is coming under fire because she says you'll no longer be allowed to criticize a specific city employee. Is the mayor's new rule a good idea, or is it a violation of freedom of speech? Ogie.
Well, Nancy's a dear friend, and I agree with her probably 80% of the time, but on this one, I think she missed it. You've got to put up with these malcontents that come, and it's the same people week after week. I get that, but they have the right to get up there, and some city employees deserve to be criticized.
Dave.
Well, it goes with the territory, and I have that same responsibility. But I think that when you're in a public meeting, unless you have a rule that specifically lays it out, and unless it's specific enough to make someone want to sue the county, then I don't think you ought to stop somebody from talking.
All right, Dave Briggs.
I agree with Dave. I've got a little bit different perspective being a municipal employee myself. That anything that's like that really is a personnel issue. They've got a real issue that needs to be addressed by a personnel committee. And frankly, the mayor may be protecting people against slander, because you could say something in a public meeting like that and the employee could prove it wrong and take them to court.
All right, ProPublica has issued a report showing that over 100 doctors in North Carolina have received over $74 million from drug companies and medical device manufacturers in return for promoting their products, getting their patients to use these products. Quickly, guys, should the FDA and Congress ban doctors from receiving these kinds of monies? Ogie.
Yes, it's legal bribery. I mean, they've got a little ring, a little side hustle ring on the side. They're raking it in.
Quickly, Dave.
I think it's been that way since time immemorial. I don't see why I would stop it now unless you can be specific.
It's
Hey.
a capitalist society. They're making their money. They're freelancers.
Kind of sleazy, though.
Sleazy.
Kinda All right. California has become the first state to ban the sale of or manufacture of animal fur products. Also, they're banning the use of tigers and elephants in circuses. Guys, the new law would go into effect in January of 2023. Would you like to see North Carolina adopt that same ban? Ogie.
Yes, I would. I'd like to see it go into effect before 2023 also, sure.
Yeah, it's a sort of a broad-based thing, that going into the animal use and animal abuse and use of fur. Dave Plyler.
Oh, I don't think so.
You think it's all right
I think
to
it's fine.
sale animal fur
Well, of course, absolutely.
and trapping, and so you wouldn't adopt that law?
That's part
Dave
of our
Briggs.
history.
I think it's ridiculous. Frankly, are they going to ban all leather shoes, belts, purses, etc.? Because where does that fur come from?
Yeah,
It comes
I
from an
understand. So Ogie and I are trying to protect the fur, and you guys are going to wear it. Is that right?
In a heartbeat.
Dave's
I'm
going to wear it.
cold.
All right, finally, guys, the CEO of a company called Beyond Meat says that burgers made from plants will replace meat burgers by the year 2023. Do you think this prediction is accurate? And have you guys ever eaten a plant burger? Ogie.
I've eaten plenty of vegetarian dishes. I hadn't eaten one of those Impossible
No plant
burgers.
burgers.
But I mean, that's the trend, and it will catch on, but it won't supplant meat entirely. That won't happen.
Dave.
This kind of goes back to your last question about furs. How do you get furs? Well, I know, but I like burgers made out of plants.
You like the plant burger.
I love plant
Dave
burgers.
Briggs.
I've had a plant burger.
Did you like it?
No, not particularly. And frankly, I really like steak.
You like steak. All right. Well, we've got mixed messages here, but guys, appreciate the thought, whatever it was. And that's all the time we have, except for this. North Carolina is, of course, known as first in flight because of the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, who are commemorated by a copper statue that stands at Kill Devil Hills. But last week, the head on the statue of Orville Wright went missing. When police were asked how the decapitation could have happened, an officer said, well, best we can tell, it was caused by a strong headwind.
Boom.
See, the head of the...
Got
the
it.
head of the...
Yes.
All right. For all of us here...
Well, back to the first part.
No. For all of us here at the Plant Burger Central, we'll be right back. We'll be back next week.